Okay, good morning. Wish you all happy Independence Day. So today we have to had one more resource person called Hanumantha Raju, but due to some immediate commitment, he is not able to come to today's session. So he will take one more session in the coming days. So today the agenda of the day is to orient about PSIR. Okay, so to know about political science and international relations. So we'll divide into three parts. One, first of all, the what part. What part means what is there in the syllabus. Okay. Second is why part. Means here why one can opt for political science or what are the possible benefits you get by taking political science. We look into those components and who can take political science. There will be doubts, right? Whether I don't have a PSIR background, can I opt for the optional? Or even I have PSIR background, do I need coaching? Okay. And the other part is that the challenges. Right, so it won't be correct if I only tell there are only positives about PSIR, etc. So that will be not doing justice, to the cause. There are certain challenges also that also we have to know. Like some people might have problem in English. Okay, so like can they opt for political science? Is the resource available here? And the other part is that the classes and the notes how we will do at Insights. That will be the last component. Like how will be the schedule? Okay, how we are different from others. But some people will have to know, shall we go for Subra Ranjan only? So that will look into these aspects. Now first, what part? So as you know, political science and international relations. So in every, we can say in UPSC exam, for you to become an IAS officer or whatever goal, means how much you score, that is very important. Right? Irrespective whether you have knowledge, whether you don't have knowledge, all matters is that how much you have scored in mains. Right, prelims is more just as qualifying. Means prelims are there only two categories. Either you are eligible to write mains or you are not eligible to write mains. But those who are eligible to write mains, now how much they score in mains, along with that how much they score in interview, adding together will determine your rank. And if you look at your mains, what you can say, exam pattern, you have one essay, you have 4 GS, and you have optional paper. In that optional paper, you have like two papers will be there for 250, 250. The optional carries a mark of 500. Now, one of the reasons we look at students, what do they do is that they spend a lot of effort on general studies. They don't spend so much effort on optional. The reason is that the immediate priority for a student is always to clear prelims. Okay, the student does not think long term. Okay, for him immediately what? Okay, I should clear prelims. Later I'll think about it. But what you don't realize is that clearing prelims is not the end goal. Okay, there are hundreds of people who have cleared prelims but never ever cleared mains. And without clearing mains, your dream of becoming a civil servant will never come true. And in mains, this is a area optional which carries 500 marks. Okay, that is one thing. Second thing, if you go by scoring, okay, you generally check from 2013 even to last year, how much ever you prepare on GS subject, if you score 50% of the marks, meaning out of 250, let us say you are scoring 125, it's a topper score. Okay, I'm not telling it's only 125, there are people scoring 130, 140, but I'm not telling everybody are scoring 130, 140. Average score will be somewhere between 90 to 100. I'm telling average. Toppers will be scoring 130 to 140, and yeah, it might vary from subject to subject. But if you look at optional subject, I'm not telling only political science, any optional subject per se, if you look at the topper score or in an average score, here easily they score more than 50%. Get a point? So there are people like who have scored 170, 160. So it can change the course. So for example, let us take why we say optional, essay, ethics, they determine your rank a lot. And essay is one subject again, because let us take for at least general studies and optional, you have to invest a lot of energy to prepare. For example, GS1 you are preparing, you have to prepare on history part, you have to prepare on society part, you have to prepare on geography part, you have to prepare on post-India independent part. But essay is not like that. Okay, it requires minimal preparation. Yeah, you need to have good writing skills, etc. But still it is also valid for how many marks? 250. So that is why we say essay, optional, they can be game changers. Okay, for example, when I had gone to interview, there was this guy called as Amok Gopinath. Okay, he's today IRS IT. Now, his written score like when you look at GS was completely average, means yeah, whatever average score. But he changed the game in two subjects. One was essay. Okay, he got around 145. And even in political science, paper one he got average only, like 125 or something. But he completely turned around in paper two political science because he was one of the that year's topper. He scored 170. Because average score only what people were scoring in paper two was 130. This fellow scored 170, means he took a lead of almost 40 marks. So that is why we say even in UPSC, when you prepare for this exam, it's not just sitting in a classroom taking down notes, etc. Blind studies won't work. You're getting mind. So we say that 8 lakh people are writing the exam. Okay, it's very competitive. No, that is not true. As we say, every person who's applying for the exam is not your competitor. 70% or even up to 80% of them who are preparing for this exam or all are non-serious aspirants. Why non-serious? They don't have the idea of the exam itself. I'm not telling just joining a coaching is the end goal. Okay, everybody will joining a coaching. But point is that how you are preparing, what you have to prepare, that's a completely different thing. So you have even coaching centers giving courses at 20,000. The entire course, optional, GS, etc. Why they do like that? Even they know that we are only reaching out to this non-serious aspirants. Yeah, chalega. Even basically half of 90% of them won't write mains only. Obviously, how will they know that what material they provided, is it even good for the exam? Okay, these are all mass-based approaches. So that's why I told competition is not so much as we think. 8 lakh people apply for the exam. The actual competition is just between 60,000 people who are very serious, who know the idea of the exam, who know how to prepare in that regard. And again, you can say we categorize students into 3 categories. Okay, category A, literally no idea about the exam, just preparing. Category B, they know about the exam, but they lack the required skills. Okay, for simple example, if you tell you are going to clear this exam without knowing English, either you are fooling yourself or you have been lied to. Simple, you might write in Kannada only. PSAT will come in English only. GS papers will come in English only. And if you open UPSC question papers and see the English what they are asking, 100% it is not 10th standard level English, it is very, very advanced. Any paper you take essay topics itself. Okay, point. So that's why I told there are certain category of students who know the exam well, how to be done, etc. But they have not developed the required skills for the exam. And it won't happen. If you don't have that required skill, it won't click. And you have this third category, who know what is required for the exam, who develop the required skills, and this is a minute component. And that's why I told it's a choice what we make, whether we are going to be in the third category or we are going to be in the first 2 categories. And the coaching market or whatever we say UPSC market is largely run not by the third category students, it is largely run by the first category students. They are more in number. Economy, demand and supply. So obviously what is demanded, that will be supplied. Okay, so if you have 80% of them demanding, basic spoon feeding, etc., and that is what will be provided, and that is what they think is that, okay, fine, we are ready for the exam. Got the point? So that's why I told here, if you strategically think, these 500 marks are crucial for you to get a rank in the exam. Now, to go for an optional, what is the criteria one can look for? Okay, so one, there will be many people from science background. For example, I was also from engineering background, but later I did my master's in public policy from National Hospital. The question is that, can I not go for civil engineering, mechanical engineering or mathematics? You can go for, but that is again a risk that you take. Means what you read in BTU, largely what students we have here, and what they are asking in the exam is completely different. And you have to be technically very, very good. Okay, it's not being BTU good. You have to be technically very, very good. And second one, you need guidance for it. If that is available, then it's a subject you can think for. Second criteria is that, okay, I'm from a non-science background. Can I take a social science subject? I don't know polity only. I don't know basic thing. Facts, let's go by. Last year, first ranker was from political science. He was from biotechnology background. Previous to that, also first ranker was from political science. He was from commerce background. Or even in Insights, we have A. Madhu, who got 440 rank from Kolar. He is also an engineering student who got rank. And if you look especially in Karnataka and southern part of India, I'm not including northern part of India, because in northern part of India, you do have people from PSIR background doing well in PSIR. But I can challenge you here, within southern part of India, if you look at those who have cleared with political science or even sociology, etc., are largely engineering students, commerce students, and medical science students. It is actually not the BA students. And there is a reason to it. The reason is simple. In Karnataka, colleges which are there, Gulbarga, Raichur, etc., whatever, they are not up to the standards of what JNU, or if you take JD Shriram, means Delhi universities, what are there, they don't have that quality here. So a person who has read BA here, his reading is very primitive. A person who comes fresh from an engineering background, now for the first time he is going to read the subject, he is going to read with a UPSC approach. Already those who have read BA, for them bigger difficulty is what? Unlearn, and to relearn, it's always a difficult task. To learn something new, it's easy. To learn something which you have already learned for last 4 years and learn it in a new way, it is very, very difficult. Why? Because if you look at in state universities, most of the areas, the preparation is largely done like rote learning. Or you have this political scholar called as Bhikkhu Parekh. Okay, he's a famous scholar. He's written this essay called as The Poverty of the Indian Political Thought. Largely the essay criticizes the Indian social science education system, and he gives a reading into it. He says why India does not have a Hobbes or a Bodin. Means we don't have scholars like what Western scholars have produced, even though we have like people like Kautilya, etc., but they've been not made world famous. The question is why? So he points out the reason is that the weakness of the social science as a subject in Indian research, etc. The reason he says in India, largely opted course after second PUC and all is usually engineering or medical science. Arts is the third preferred. Means those who don't get seats here, they'll go for arts. And even those who are very passionate about arts, they will try to aim for what? These Delhi universities. So 70 to 80% of people who are studying social science in India, he says there are vernacular students. Vernacular means in Karnataka it is Kannada medium, in Andhra Pradesh it is Telugu medium, okay, in North India it is Hindi medium. And obviously the problem is what? When you look at the authors who write in local languages, you don't have that kind of diversity of authors. Maybe few translations are there. Any day when you read polity, reading Lakshmikant is very, very different from what you read this Gangadharaya or whatever book is there. It won't give you that kind of input what you get from Lakshmikant. So he says the problem is what? You don't have good knowledge base. And obviously now in this 70 to 80%, he says in the 10% will be very good. Those who have already entered what JNU, etc. And in that they get further segregated. Few people going to write civil services, going to crack it, and few people going to foreign universities for higher study. So the remaining the 70-80%, what they will do, they struggle. Why they struggle? One, they don't have the skill, even if they're from social science background, to attend UPSC papers, because UPSC papers will be always different from your degree papers. Second, now what is the other opportunity they have? Write net, get into teaching profession. Cycle repeats itself. Same people, not completely knowledgeable, coming into teaching. Again, they are going to train next 70% of the people. The cycle keeps repeating. And that is why when you look at here, see, simple example I'll give you. Avinash, rank 31 from Insights itself. Jaidev, rank 5 previous year from Insights itself. Tia Das Gupta, I think you are one of your mentor also now, who is there. He's also got into Indian Police Service. Tejas, one more guy. What is common in 4 names is what I told. What is common in all of this? No. They all studied from National Law School. And National Law School is the #1 institute in this country. Reason why I told, so what you read as polity, social science, when you study in National Law School, this will all be done in a more comprehensive way, and they already have the necessary skills to know how to approach the subject. You are getting the point. So that's why I said for this exam, that's why I told those are from engineering background or those from commerce background who told no, I am not from science background. No, you are going to read polity in GS2. So you can't tell I am not from science background, I am not going to read polity. Simple, right? So there is nothing got to do with your background. It's only got to do with whether you like the subject, are you able to understand it, and you have to look into, okay, what is there in the subject in first place. So when you come to the what component, as I told, two papers are there, right? Paper 1 and you have paper 2. And again in each paper, they divide into part A and part B. So here in paper 1, part A, you have largely Western political thought, political theory, and Indian political thought. This is a broad, I'll go into deeper bit later. Under part B, you have the Indian national movement, Indian constitution, then you have bit on political sociology part. Means political sociology means topics such as caste, role in Indian politics, religion, role in Indian politics, ethnicity in Indian politics. So why we call it as political sociology? Because we are combining the influence of society on politics. And then you have bit of political economy topics, green revolution, land reforms, India's economic growth. Means under Nehruian era, we used socialist method, and post 1991 we have followed liberalization, privatization, and globalization. We have to make an analysis, an assessment of how these changes have contributed to India's political system. Get a point? So these things we'll be reading about here, and we also will be reading about social movements, gender movements, environmental movements, human rights movements, which has happened in India. So part A is theoretical, part B is more of what is there in your GS2. Same to same, whatever is there in your entire GS2 syllabus, it repeats here. Okay. Paper 2, again you have two parts here, part A and part B. In part A, you have one is comparative politics. What do you mean by comparative politics? Comparing developed and developing countries, how do political systems work here? Okay, it's not any country specific. They won't ask like compare between England and India, no, they won't ask like that. They won't ask on a broader level. So they will tell, when you look at developed countries, how do you observe political parties function here? When you look at developing countries, how do political parties function here? And many times what will happen with students, right? See, in a UPSC exam, there is one key component, that thinking is required, not just rote learning. 90% of them, what they tend to do is just read from a book. They don't think. Many times it's not exactly you have to read from a book. Even if you logically think, you'll get an answer. So let us take as an example, US is a developed country, or UK is a developed country. India is a developing country. Political parties are there in both areas. Why? Because British ruled India, and of course they also introduced parliamentary democracy, and we have continued with the same system. Now when you observe how political parties function there and how do political parties function here, let us say you have not read anything, you don't know anything, basic ideas, what can you observe? Two political parties are there. So one thing what he's doing, that if you look like US, they have two party system. In India, we have multi-party system. So here actually there is a theory, means later you read, called as Duverger's law. Okay, it's a theory what this scholar he gave, saying that wherever they follow the first past the post system, okay, it's an electoral system. Usually in those kind of countries, you will have two-party system. But if you look at India, it's different, because even though we follow first past the post system, we don't have two-party system, we have multi-party system. So that is why we say India is an exemption to the Duverger's law. Okay, that is one key point you can observe. Second, what you can find difference. What do you find difference in Western countries and India when you look at political parties? Good. In Western countries, political parties are more modernized, more institutionalized. But in India, political parties are not completely modernized. You have political parties based on caste identities, religious identities, right? We have political parties which functions as family enterprises. Dynastic politics is more significant here. Not that in Western countries not there at all, but comparatively when we look at What is the third difference you can observe? In the Western political parties, there is a lot of intra-party democracy. Within the party, there is scope for even a ground level worker to go and become a political leader. But in Indian political parties, except the BJP and the Communist Party, okay, these two we call as cadre-based parties. Cadre-based parties means they have a rank. Through this rank, you will have to grow. So, for example, you take Narendra Modi, his rise in Indian politics, it is from an RSS Karyakarta to becoming the BJP's, leader. Even in communist parties, they also do have, you can say, system where ground level leaders come. But if you look at other parties in India, be it JDS, be it Congress, be it Samajwadi Party, they're all family oriented. They don't have system where you can say a ground level worker will want to become the leader of this party. But in Western countries, it's usually what? They have more inner democracy, or you can say women representation in political parties in West is more compared to India. In India, you can say that women representation in political parties is less. Even if they are there are only few exceptions to it, like when Jayalalitha was there, she led, or when Sonia Gandhi was the head of UPA. Okay, but largely it is a male dominated. So that's why I told, for everything you don't need to read technically. What is the thing you need to read? Just some theories, what you read in a book, but there is no alternative to you sitting and thinking. See, a person who has truly understood the exam or truly is ready for mains is a person who had invested a lot of time in brainstorming, not just sitting and reading. There's a difference between information gathering and analysis. It's not same. Now, what is information gathering? Okay, I'll give you an information. The Indian Councils Act 1861, for the first time, British nominated 3 Indians to the Legislative Council. The 3 Indians were Raja of Banaras, Maharaja of Patiala, and Sir Dinakar Rao. Now, this is the information you read. Now, what is the analysis you make? Why those people? Hey, I'm asking you the same question. Why? Correct. You can say the analysis what you make here is that this was not something concrete the British did to include the Indians into the administration, because British role was always, you can say what you can say, carrot and stick policy. So on one hand, they wanted to show Indians that we are including you in administration, but whom did they include? 2 were Rajas, and one was a, Sir. Sir means he has got knighthood from the British Queen, means all of them were close to the British. They were nothing but puppets of the British. You are understood? There is a difference between information gathering and analysis, and that's why I told this is an exam which is not an information gathering exam. See, 90% of people are just worried about which notes will read, which notes will read. 100 notes will get in the market. Okay, gone are those days when you can see in our time, getting notes was only difficult. Now you go to any Xerox shop, which academy notes you want, they'll give full printout end to end. Just reading those notes does not make difference. You are just gathering information. You need to develop certain skills. Okay, how do we analyze? How do we work about? Because end of the day, getting the result is more important, and that's why I told, if you even read into UPSC's notification, have you read? What is there in that notification, especially in the mains column? If you go to the main section, what does the notification say? It says that we are not looking for the range of information a candidate possesses, we are looking for his analytical abilities. That's why I told this is largely a analysis based exam. This is not just an information gathering exam. Books will give you information, but we need to develop analytical skills. So one is comparative politics, just as an example I told, like what will be there. This is an example. Same way, how we are comparing political parties, we are going to compare political systems. Okay. So if you look at Indian political system, or even in Pakistan, means when I say developing country, we need not always pick out India. We can also take Pakistan as an example. How do you compare now Pakistan, and if you compare to some developed state in Western country, let us take Finland. Okay, see, Western countries all have similar political culture. Okay, that is why we group them together. Like how do we compare? What do we see? Like when we compare Pakistan and we compare these countries. So only you can say in West, or even including India, you can include, we have a state that controls the military. But in Pakistan, there is a military that controls the state. Get a point? See, these are all generalized way of telling, but there are technical theories that you can link. Okay, there is a scholar called as Hamza Alvi. He's written this theory called as overdeveloped state. Okay, it's a simple theory. Now, when you look at Western countries, how did they evolve? First, nation was formed. Then nation evolved into state. Okay, for some of you who don't know polity, you might not know the difference between nation and state. And that is how they told. But if you look at developing countries in that regard, they don't follow the same path. First, here state has been created. Nation is still an evolving idea. Getting the point? And second, there's a difference. In West, as the society evolved, state also evolved. Okay, for example, you had a feudal society, you had kingdoms. You had a capitalist society, you have a modern democratic state. Means the level of development happening at society level, at economic level, is also happening at political level. So it's a reflection. But what Hamzalvi says that in case of like Pakistan and all, the state is very evolved. Okay, the state has all the features of a modern state. Like take India also as an example. We have modern day judiciary, we have election commission, we have political parties, we have parliamentary system, etc. These are all modern features. But he says when you look at the society, society is not modern. It is still feudal. For example, you go to rural areas, even today, caste system is very rigid. Or even when you look at people, how do they vote in elections? Many times they vote on primordial loyalties. Means they vote for their caste, they vote for their religion in that regard. Understood? And if you look at the economic structure also, it is not completely modernized economic system. You know, you have this scholar called as F.W. Ricks, who called it bazaar model. Okay, it's a mixture of modernity and traditionality. And that is why this fellow says state is more developed than the society. And that is why the theory is called as what? Overdeveloped state. You understood? Now, these are the scholars who will come, who will help you to analyze how systems are working in developing countries, how system works in development. That is the large part of what we call as comparative politics. Then you have theories of international relations. Okay, IR is one significant part of this subject. Now, some people have this, fear, or you can say, see what happens is that like 3-4 students have met before also. Like, sir, in our library, my library friend told, IR is very dynamic, it's changing every day. Half of them would have not seen question paper only. That's why I asked them, has your friend written means? 90% of the answer will be no. It's like in Hindi what we say, ek andha, dusra andha ko dari nahi dikha sakte. One blind cannot lead the other blind towards it. You analyze the question paper, you had never come out with a logic, sir, it is very, very dynamic. I am not telling it is not dynamic. Not as dynamic as people are projecting. Take an example, go back home, open the previous year question paper. 2013 to 2024, you check IR paper. There is this question called as why India has not signed NPT, Non-Proliferation Treaty. They have asked 8 times in last 12 years. A repeated question. So here they are not asking about day-to-day IR affairs. Okay, Prime Minister Modi visited Mauritius. They won't ask right about India, Mauritius. No. The syllabus is fixed. They are largely asking global powers. China, Japan, Russia, US. Okay, and that do they won't ask minute things. If there is any policy change, like Trump recently has imposed tariffs. So they are going to ask how this is going to have implications on India-US bilateral relations. Okay, IR is not like what you read in GS, just remaining info. It's structuring here. Okay, means we have to study overall how India-US relationship has evolved. Okay, so we say during Cold War, India and US were on diverging path. Okay, but post 2000, you can say the world's oldest democracy and the world's largest democracy have finally come to an embracement. Because there are a lot of changes that happen, a lot of needs that are happened. Because in IR we say there is no permanent friends, no permanent foes. Only one permanence is national interest. Okay, because there was rise of China. China became a threat to the freedom of navigation. China started to even challenge the American hegemony. China started to challenge the Asian order. Asian order means Asia was largely multipolar. China wants to make it unipolar. And this brought India and US together. Why? Because your enemy's enemy is your friend. But now with rise of Trump, it has created certain challenges because Trump is not like the other American presidents. He's highly mercurial, unstable. You know, in 2017, you had these psychologists saying that he's a psychopath. No, there was a press meet called by these psychologists. They said that Trump has every trait of a psychopath, highly unpredictable. So you can say what Trump has done now, his unpredictability is shown. Why? Because all of a sudden he has come and put 50% tariffs on India, and in spite of China being one of the largest purchaser of oil from Russia, he is not imposing any tariff on them. So that is how Trump works. And now they are looking into how this is going to have implications on the hard work that was done by the previous American president and the Indian government to build the relationship what we have today. So that we'll have to see in coming days that what is going to happen. So here nobody is going to ask you like agreements, etc. They want to understand your understanding about how the relationship has evolved. But to understand them, first you have to know theories. There are various theories in international relations. When you study international relations, realism, liberalism, Marxism, feminism, social constructivist theory, postmodernist theory, and every theory gives a framework that how do we understand relations. Like realism, it gives more importance to power. It says that relation between two countries is nothing but it is a power struggle. Okay, they say there is nothing more. Countries always go for power struggle. Countries always want to get more out of the struggle. They can't cooperate with each other. Realists always believe that the best way to bring security, strengthen your military, go for wars if required. And they don't believe in any kind of international organizations, international institutions. Liberalism is the opposite of it. They believe that no, realists are wrong. Countries can do cooperate. For example, you take formation of United Nations. Understood? So the entire subject of political science, whether it is part paper 1 or paper 2, it is in this form of what we call as dialectics. Dialectics means what? Like a dialogue. So we say that political science is a never-ending debate between scholars. Okay, why? Because it keeps happening. New ideas keep emerging. So these are major theories that, like you have feminist theory. They question, okay, where are the women in international politics? Okay, means you have different perspective here. Like some feminists, they say, men make war because war makes them men. Okay, so they say what? One men make war because war makes them men. So they are highly critical of nation states, saying that not including women into international politics. That is the sole reason that why conflicts are happening. If women have been part of international politics, means they say they will bring not patriarchal attitudes, they will bring more matrilineal attitudes, and according to them, cooperative, peace, etc. It's a theory. I'm not telling it's the complete truth. Because there are people who have critiqued that also. Like you have Kenneth Wald, who says what feminists are telling is incorrect. Feminist argument is that if you bring gender angle, a gender change, that is going to change the behavior of the states. So what Kenneth Wald says, it's wrong. The behavior of states is not shaped by gender, it is shaped by structure. And what is the structure of international politics? He says that it is anarchy and hierarchy. Anarchy means there is no established government. It's like a jungle. When you're living in a jungle, tiger will hunt down the deer. Why? Because there is no rules saying that tiger cannot hunt the deer. Every country, according to him, they will do what they want when it is required. And he says if what feminists are telling is true, then why did India go to war with Pakistan in 1971 when Indira Gandhi was the Prime Minister of the country? Or when Margaret Thatcher was the Prime Minister of Britain? Britain followed a very aggressive foreign policy. So his argument is that there is no connection between gender and behavior of the, but that's a theory. Understood? So you need to read these theories. Okay, what are the prominent theories? Then there are concepts. Okay, national interest, balance of power, collective security, collective defense. Okay, these are all key concepts that you have to know. What do we mean by nuclear deterrence? Okay, Cold War, non-aligned movement, collapse of Soviet Union. Means Soviet Union disintegrated. What are the reasons for it? Rise of America as the superpower of the world. What is the implications of it? and currently decline of the American hegemony and what the future holds. Then we are going into studying international organization. Here one more thing what many students have doubt is that, sir, there are 44 to 100 organizations, how do we read? Nobody is asking you to read that. Go see the question paper. UN, IMF, World Bank, International Court of Justice, International Criminal Court. Apart from this, they have not asked anything. Again, how they'll ask is that something which is in news for last 1 year, they might ask. Like WHO is in news. Why? Because Trump brought America out of World Health Organization. Got it? And then you will also have to study regional organization. SAARC, ASEAN, NAFTA, NATO, European Union, BRICS. Okay, these are all which is in news. SCO. Why it is in news? What is the purpose? And finally, you have some topics such as terrorism, human rights, gender justice, climate change. So, like climate change means we have to look at how developed countries and developing countries are looking at the issue. And your part B of political science is completely India's relation with the world and the neighboring countries. Here, this is where the dynamic part comes. So, dynamic part in the sense, let us take Bangladesh. Now, tell me what is the current development. Sheikh Hasina's government has fallen. A new government has come up in Bangladesh. Now, what will be the implication for India? What is the development in Afghanistan? Taliban has taken over the administration. Same thing. What will be the implication for India? Pakistan, what is the recent development? Operation Sindoor. Okay, now what is India's policies towards Pakistan? How we are dealing with them? Right? With US, Trump's tariff. With China, the border disputes. With Russia, India purchasing oil, and recently Prime Minister Modi announced that India is going to make investments into Vladivostok, that is the far east part of Russia. They are not going to ask random current affairs, only the major ones which has been in. And so this is the entirety of what is there in political science. So how usually the subject is organized, part A will be always theoretical, part will be a bit more applied. Same again, part A bit theoretical, part B bit more applied. Okay, this is what is there in the syllabus. But details you can go through the syllabus copy for the minute details. Now second thing is that, sir, the size of the syllabus is very big. There is nothing called as big and small. It's mainly about understanding. For example, you have Marx in part A, you have again Marxism in part B, you have again Marxism in paper 2. So it's a repetitive theme. You are getting mind. So many things overlap. You have non-alignment in part A, you have India and NAM in part B. Understood? So that's why I told you can't decide an optional subject just based on how many words are there. Okay, you have to read it to basically understand it. And what is the other advantage of political science? There is a huge overlap with your general studies. Okay, why? Because CS1, you will have to read modern history. Political science, you are going to read modern history. You have to read society, that is caste religion. Here also you are going to read about caste religion. Post-independent India, you are going to read about land reforms, green revolution, state reorganization. That also you are going to read here. In what is that? So society part, again you have globalization, communism. If you take your GS paper 1, you have ideologies in political science. And the entire paper 2 means Indian constitution, Indian political system, international relations. Repeats. GS3 if you take security, internal security, again you have a topic called as security in political science. And if you take ethics, you have scholars. Gandhi, Ambedkar, Plato, Socrates, Aristotle, etc. They're all from political science. And even in case studies, when you write case studies, see for example, how some people approach ethics paper is that they approach without any concepts. Okay, so let us take, now when there are case studies, to write well in a case study, you need an approach. You need clarity of concepts. You can't use the same idea of solution for every case study you give. For that you need to have a better understanding of what do you mean by justice, because you're at the end of the day you give justice, right? In any ethical question you have to give justice to the situation, etc. Now what happens here, people don't have theoretical basis. Okay, so let us take any one of them. So let us say, okay, now she or he is a railway operator. You are operating a train. You are deaf, dumb, can't speak, but you can only see train is going On a track, there are 100 people working. Since you are deaf, dumb, you can't alert them, etc. The only possible thing that you can do in your hand is that change the track, because you have that control. The other track you see, there is one person working. In this track, the current track, what is going, 100 people are working. So of course your choice is between kill 100, save 1, kill 1, save 100. What will you do? Not hypothetical, let us take it's a real scenario. What will you do? What is the solution? What will you do? You don't give some solutions like, sir, I'll only run and get hit by the train, it will stop. No, give a practical solution, either one, you have to make a choice. Killing? Okay, she says kill 1, save 100. Okay, she is went for what? Majority means utilitarianism, saving maximum number. Okay, that's the point. Now let us take one more scenario. Now, let us say she is the district collector, DC, and she receives lot of complaint from a particular school within her jurisdiction, saying that parents of that children in the school, they have written letters to her saying that you have to fire the lady who's cooking the midday meal program in that school, remove her from job, otherwise we won't send our children to school. And this has come from 90% of the students. Only 5% of the students are they're ready to attend the school even though she is cooking. Now she will make investigation. Why these people are complaining, what is the root cause, whether that cook is not cooking properly, etc. And after her investigation, she will come to know the real reason for it, that 90% of them are upper caste. And that lady she is cooking is a Dalit woman. Now, if she is removed, if you remove her, problem solved. All of them will come back to school. School will run effectively. So in previous case, she told, I will save kill 1 and I'll save 100. Can you apply the same logic here? That is why we say justice is not same everywhere. Justice varies according to situation, scenario. So when you read political science theories, these theories are there. You have Jeremy Bentham, who speaks about utilitarian theory of justice. You have John Rawls, who gives the opposite of it. He says that justice cannot be always on numbers. It should be also taking into empowering the weakest. You're getting a point. So when you have these kind of ideas, when you approach writing case studies, you are a bit more foundational based rather than randomly writing case studies on the spot. You're getting a point. Why people don't score well so much in ethics is that when they write case studies and all, they don't have an approach. Okay, so in every case study there will be certain problems. You need to identify what is the problem and you have to look into what are the ethical issues here and how do we resolve these ethical issues and what can be my approach here. Got it? So that's why I told reading political theories will also help in ethics paper. And of course you have essay, and every year if you look at essay, they're largely, means I'm not telling it's like copycat of political science, but having a political science background will help in essay writing. But I always suggest that don't write your essay completely from a political science point of view. Essay should be always general, but you can take ideas there. And that's why I told, like you take up to 50% of your GS syllabus does overlap with PSIR. So that is one of the advantages why one can take PSIR. Second one, PSIR has been scoring in last 6 to 7 years. If you take, like for example, you can say in last 4 years, at least 2 years, the topper has been from PSIR. But I'm not claiming that your first ranker is from PSIR, so you also take PSIR, you will also get a first rank. There is no rule like that. It doesn't work like that. It depends upon my liking, it depends upon my interest, because it's like this. You are not going to score just because some subject is scoring. The subject is not scoring for you. You have to score in that subject. For you to score in the subject, you have to tell. Students are like this, when students come, sir, tell one subject, it is very small, simple, high scoring. It's like tell one method, I don't want to do hard work, I don't want to do anything, I want to sit in my place, but I have to become district collector. Enter movie industry. In films, you can play the role of district collector, not in real life. Because here it takes effort. Here it requires you to come out of your comfort zone. See, it's easy to fool you. Okay, I can promise you, I'll tell you, I'll make you score 400. don't worry, just read my notes, more than enough. You are in Mosori. Then you will be in Kengeri if you open your eyes. Okay, so the reason why I told students lack that, what you can say, maturity, or they see why the reason is that you at least need to know the exam pretty well, you know, to write effectively. Like see, there'll be some people, what will happen is that when we tell for them, they will think like we are pushing them for classes. Okay, so like they'll can't we read from notes only? It's your wish, you can read, nobody is denying it. But do you know how to read it? Do you know how to utilize it? Okay, there was one student who came last day. He came directly told, "No, sir, you know, I'm going to read from notes." I told, "Okay, it's your wish. No, but no compulsion." Sir, but will you see my answer once? Okay, you bring it. There's no problem. He bought. There is a question on Aristotle. There is a statement. One who lives outside this state is either what he had written, either goat or beast. He had written that. I told, what do you mean by that? Sir, that is what is written in notes, sir. Okay, sir, that is what is written in notes. But when you read the notes, don't you have brains to think that why that statement is like, what do you mean by is either goat or beast? It's not goat, it is God. The person who has written that notes, handwriting looks like goat. So this fellow has read it like goat. Meaning it's a pure blind study what he has done. Literally no understanding of what he is reading. Now why this happens, right? Because his library seniors would have told. That's what I told. Those three andas would have told this fourth anda. This is what you do, enough. It's, you know, magic will happen. That's why you always ask them, who told you? If there is any serious candidate who has gone to interview, he would have never given that such suggestion. See, there are people who can do it. Okay, if you tell, I am from JNU, I have a political science degree, I will only tell, don't take classes, not required. Because already the classes have been done for you. Only take classes if you require, you need an approach. But you coming from some different background, tell I'll randomly pick up notes from market, I'm going to read it. It will take 2 to 3 years. So what will happen when you tell that? Student will tell, no, this one is trying to promote the course. That's no big deal. Promotion is not required. Okay. So we at Insight, we are not in that level that we have to, you know, promote and pick up students, etc. Even if we have 40 students, it is justice has to be done. Simple, because numbers will come once you get rank. That's not a big deal. So that's what I told. This is the problem. Like that's what I told. Why Aristotle told like that? He didn't tell God. He told one who lives outside the state is either God or beast. Meaning, for Aristotle, state is a must. Okay, it is under the state only you can attain perfection. And who does not need perfection? One is God, because God is already perfect. Beast, that is animals. Animals are not humans. They lack rationality. And that is why he made that statement. One who lives outside the state either must be God or beast. But this fellow read it as what? It is goat or beast. The problem is not that. When he read it, did he make, like when you read, you need to understand, right? Like, why is he saying it is goat? That is what we say, blind study. So when we were young, in our school, there was one teacher, I think our classroom students will know it, but anyway, for new students, there was one teacher from a very young age. He was, why I remember even today, he always used to stress us that understand and read, don't by heart. Okay, he was one teacher in our school who never cared for marks. He never used to give marks only. He told, I need your understanding. And he always used to tell us a joke, okay, on a systematic. So he used to tell there were two best friends from a very young age, okay, like kindergarten, school, college, they all do. And one fellow in that is very, very intelligent. The other fellow is equally dumb, as how this fellow is intelligent. And alphabetically, their name also comes one after the other. So the intelligent fellow is first, dumb fellow is second. So because of their friendship, this intelligent fellow used to show all his answers to this dumb fellow. And dumb fellow is good in one thing. He has photographic memory. Means whatever he sees, he'll present it as it is. So in school, in college, they cleared with flying colors, etc. And all thanks to this intelligent fellow. And finally, they joined same engineering college. They completed their degree. And finally, campus interview came. Now this dumb fellow felt very sad. He told, all these days I used to copy. Now interview, what to do? What to speak now? You have to give ideas. So what this intelligent fellow told, don't worry that have made all the assessment, they're asking same questions to everybody. Here also after me, you are the candidate. So once I go give the interview, I'll come back. We have 5 minutes time. I'll tell you the answer, you just go repeat it. Well, okay, fine, done deal. So this fellow went. First question they asked the intelligent fellow, when did India get its freedom? So he's smart, na? So he told, sir, the process started in 1857. Finally, it culminated in 1947. He told, bahut badhiya, very good. Second question, that name any one freedom fighter. So he thought for a while and he told, sir, this is a collective effort. You can't give credit to any one person. So they told, you are very diplomatic. We need you in the company. Last question they told, what is the cure for AIDS? He told, research is going on. They have not yet found out. He told, okay, you have selected. Go send the next fellow. He sent, he told him the answer. This fellow sent the answer. He jumped in. Board changed. New board came out. First question they asked him, when were you born? So he told, sir, process started in 1857. Finally, it culminated in 1947. Then one of the members told, hey, what are you telling? Who is your father, man? So he told, sir, there are hundreds of them. It is a collective effort. I can't give credit to any one fellow. Then the other member told, have you gone crazy? He told, sir, research is going on. They'll find it. So when you by heart things without proper understanding, you'll end up like the second candidate. And that is what you see 90% of the students, what they do here, they just by heart. They don't go for any kind of understanding. See, simple, when I had gone to Delhi, because we had a center in Delhi also, we have this one famous academy next to Delhi. I won't take names, it won't be right to take names. Problem is not with the academy, I'm telling problem with Karnataka students. 3 Karnataka students came for mentorship. They're not from Insights, they're from this academy. So it was because Kannada na will easily connect. So I told them, how come you are in Delhi? He told, no sir, my mama told, come to Delhi, very wonderful here. I told, okay, how is the classes going on? He told, sir, I am sitting, I have to book the seat. It's like a movie theater. I have to book the seat beforehand to come and sit. Second one, many times I can't see the faculty only. Because they will have 350, 450 in a classroom. Sixth, sir, I don't understand Hindi. I don't know what the hell are you doing here. And he told, even I don't know. See, that's the problem. The problem is that in Kannada we say, Durud beta yavanu nunnige kaansutte. For Hindi students they might not understand. Kannada students will understand. Durud beta yavanu nunnige kaansutte. Allu ondsati hogi ಒಂದು 2 ಲಕ್ಷ ಬೋಳ್ಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಂದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಅವಾಗ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ no, that is how things work. Okay, that is how things many times things will work. That you can't change people for that. See, it's end of the day. Latest thing now you have Morris Garage, a new car. They provide very very good facilities with formidable rates, but yet people will always have inclination towards Benz. The reason it's a brand. Whether it is useful for us, whether it is not useful for us, they won't think. The only thing everybody is buying, let me also buy. So that's why that is not the thing that can work. We have to work with respect to what are the resources we have, what is my goal, how do I work for it, how do I go by it. God has also given you brains, right? So you don't need to always listen to what your library brother, sister they told. You can also take a look at previous year question papers, how questions are coming, and what does it take to crack this particular exam. So that's why I told these are all the benefits part of PSR. But I told challenges are also there. Okay, what are the challenges? One, I told English. Because resource in vernacular languages are very, very less. Means like Andrew Haywood, it's a book. It is for understanding international politics. That is not there in vernacular language. So that's why I told language will be one big barrier. Okay. So if you feel that you're a person who does not have command over English at all, then I would discourage them to look for other options. But if you say, no sir, I can write decently even if I don't know to speak, then it's fine. Then that's not a problem. Second one, here there will be, you need to read editorial pages. They help a lot in developing analytical mindset. You cannot tell just I'll read notes. Notes will be there, that is so will be there. But along with it, you have to keep an eye on important editorials that I am already sharing on my Telegram channel on a day-to-day basis. But even you need to read it. See, there is a difference between directly reading somebody's notes than reading the article itself, because when you yourself read the article, you get a lot of ideas that what you can link. Okay, so that will be one challenge, that you will have to read certain editorials. And the third challenge will be updating with the IR part. Means you have to know what are the recent developments. If not on a day-to-day basis, at least in last 6 months, you have to know, okay, what are the recent developments. So these will be the three challenges that what you'll find with this subject. Now coming to the fourth part, that how the classes we are going to organize in Insights. So as I told, the classes will start from September 15th. It will go all the way up to Jan end. Okay, so classes will be 5 days a week, that is Monday to Friday, and it will be 2.5 to 3 hours. Largely it will be 2.5, but yeah, maybe sometimes we can extend up to 3 hours. Second one, the other doubt, because some students have asked, like in Delhi they take 1 year to complete the subject. How can you do it in 4 to 5 months? First of all, you look into why they take 1 year. The reason is that notes are dictated. 90% of if you got any videos also, you go watch. 90% of the time notes are dictated. You're just taking down from end to end. But in our classes, I won't be dictating notes. I'll be providing handwritten notes of mine and maybe printed notes of some. We are just going to understand the concept, discuss the concepts. Okay, what can be brought, because brainstorming, as I told, it is required. Okay. Secondly, we will be also solving a lot of PYQs. Means after each topic what we complete, we will be going through what are the previous year questions. But we can't do all the previous year question in first round itself. The reason is that to solve certain PYQs, you need a holistic understanding of the subject rather than just a narrow understanding of the subject. So we will be solving those PYQs which are bit direct. So when you come to second round, you will have to solve PYQs which are, means once you complete part A, now you can holistically solve more number of PYQs. And third aspect is that current affairs notes, as we told, whether you have joined classes or not, it is already uploaded on my Telegram channel, and also it has been uploaded on Insights official channel, monthly basis, whatever current affairs is linked to political science. And thirdly, here we'll be also focusing on how to build interlinkages. What do you mean by interlinkages? Reading the subject is one thing, but developing interlinkages is another thing. Means I can link Plato with something to democracy today. Okay, I can link Machiavelli or Kautilya with India's Operation Sindoor, because it is largely based on Kautilian ideas that you will have to respond back very strongly whenever there is a security threat to you. There are different ideas you can link. Or I can link Buddhist political philosophy in terms of India's soft power. Because India today has connected with Southeast Asian countries using what? Buddhism as a tool. Okay. So we have to also learn over the period of time how do we interlink concepts. Got it? And third one is that 80% of the notes will be in class, but there will be 20% room where you will have to make notes on your own. Because why? Because this will be all developing areas. So let us say someday you're reading editorial page, you found a new concept that you can add it into your notes. That's why I'm not telling that notes will be 100%. No, notes will cover 80%. Rest 20%. I'll help you out how to make notes, but you'll have to make it based on recent developments. So this will be what will be part of our classroom approach. And your mentorship will be part of it. Means you can come for mentorship not only till the end of the course, even after the course you can come for mentorship, because in Insight we have always an open policy that anytime you can come for mentorship over a period of till whenever you prepare. And for online students, because the course is both offline as well as online. For the online students, means those who are based out of Bangalore. Now their question will be, how do we connect? So one, we can connect through Zoom. That is their sessions that can be done once a week or once 2 weeks in that regard to clear whatever doubts do they have. And secondly is that we can also form peer groups. What is peer groups? Once the class is run, divide people into 2, 3. Make sure that they come out with targets. Target means, let us say classes is going on, but you need to work as a target of completing it. The reason what I'm trying to say here is that see, 90% of them what they think, Just sitting in a classroom, attending a class, that is the end goal. No, that is only 20% of it. You have listened to a class, you have understood what to be done, what not to be done, but you have to sit and read now. For that, if you have a group like 2-3 close friends who can keep targets and say that we'll prepare on this topic, we'll write a lot of PYQs, we are going to discuss the answer, that time what will happen, it will be very productive. And second one, when you come as a group like 3 people and when we discuss like 4 people together, it will be more productive because you'll get different ideas rather than one single individual coming. Again, most of the people problem is that they study like isolated self individuals, they have no connection with other people. But I'm not telling try to connect with everybody. Identify who is more serious. Identify, okay, who is also that passion in them that they want to study for this particular exam. Who is very, what you can say, not lazy and they push you to write answers. See, in any group, if you have one fellow who is very passionate and who keeps writing answer, he will pull the other members in the group also to do the same. But you have one person who is very lazy, who is not ready to do anything, it will rub on to others also, and you can say none of them will write. Got it? And that's why I told, don't think about the result now. Okay, don't, sir, will I score 300? How can we say? Possibility will be always there, but you have to work for 300. Nah? It is always about the work. If you only based on slogans, it might not work. Now, let us take in 2024, the BJP said up, what is that, so far, but they ended up getting only 240. I'm not lying. Previously, they did very well. They got 290. The reason is that it also depends upon what effort you put in. Okay, maybe BJP's effort this time in UP was not so much, or it didn't go according to what they had strategized. That's why they're sort of. So that's why I told 300 plus, 350 plus is only attractive only as a slogan. See, even I can write, I'll make you score 400. 450. Okay. Because the plain slogans have nothing to do. Get what? So I can tell, I will promise you today that I will make you score 300. Then you tell, sir, you have only not scored 300. How will you make up? Because I scored 292 and I wrote. So scoring 300 is not something like what you can say. You snatch it out of thin air, etc. You have to work towards it. I'm not telling you can't score, but first work for it. There is a saying, deserve before you desire. Okay, first make sure have you worked like that, so where you have possibility of getting killed. So what happens in market, right? Every Tom, Dick and Harry in every academy, they'll just plainly put a statement, okay, 300 plus is possible. It is possible. Question, it is possible if you work hard. For the point. So it's not like that you join my classes, automatically you will score of 300. No, I don't make any such claim. Yeah, we can show you the path, but scoring it or not depends upon your individual abilities. Okay. So this is what from my end, to say. The other things we can say, we have got this much results, etc., etc. Past doesn't make any difference. Okay. Why? Because I can claim results also from test series. Okay. How will you know? See, results are very, debatable. I do marketing. I'm not denying it. Of course, I will do. But the thing what I'm trying to say is that getting a result, there are multiple ways. Okay. So for even this time, not only I'll tell, at least I will get 10 ranks. Why I am telling so confidently? I have 80 students writing the test series now. Even if I do anything, even if I don't do anything, of course, in that at least 20 of them are very credible. Like one is an IRS already. The end of the day, they will take my name, and end of the day, when I claim the result. I'm not telling that based on that you join, you also think, but that is how usually the market works in that regard. And that's why I say that don't go by it, go by more credible studies what you can say. So that's why I told, yeah, these are the things what I wanted to say for the orientation class. Now, if you have any doubt, you can ask to the subject or to the course or any general doubt in general. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, so we'll be always taking IR the last phase. Okay, because first we'll be covering modern history, polity. Yeah, because to understand IR, you need bit of world history. Like at least you have to know World War I, World War II. So that's why I told, since the classes will be starting 1 month later, means today it's August 15, the classes will be starting from September 15. So those who have to start a basic reading, please read the NCRT book. Okay. There is this 11th standard NCRT book called as Introduction to Political Theory. That is a must. Then you have a 12th standard NCRT book called as Contemporary Global Politics, a yellow color book, small. If you read these two books, now the part what it told, world history part, that is covered in that particular book. Yeah, to have an idea on IR, having an idea on world history and bit of what you can say post-independent Indian knowledge is required. Pardon me? Yeah, we will be doing the NCT part, but see, end of the day, you'll have to read it once. Okay. So when we do, we'll cover the basics. What is there? Okay. But a strong suggestion is to read them. Any other doubt? The PSIR is more about study of constitution, state, etc. Public administration is more into going into the administrative aspects. For example, how the Indian administration works, how we have organized the administrative apparatus. For example, like how does Indian administrative service, they control their lower cadre. That goes into more administration part. This goes more into studying the state and its organs. Okay, that will be one major difference. So we say usually PubAd is the daughter subject or sister subject of political science, because PubAd is more of a new subject that emerged in 1960s or 50s. Okay. Political science is mainly study of what? State. Largely about state. How state came into being. Why do we need state? What are the functions of the state? Okay, it is also connected to the idea of equality, liberty, fraternity. Okay, what you read in constitution part. PubAd is more what you read in governance part. In GS2, you have some governance, self-help groups, etc. So PubAd goes into that direction. Political science goes into this direction. But yeah, there are some commonalities. Okay, like even in Kautilya, you read in PubAd. You'll also read it in PSIR. But there you'll read about Kautilya more on administrative aspect. Here you'll read about Kautilya more about the Saptanga theory, what he has told about the state. So that is one difference between PubAd and PSIR. See, predictable depends upon your ability to predict. So, but if I can only tell which scoring pattern if you go, means it will be wrong to say, but yeah, PSR has been scoring better than PubAd in last 5 to 6 years. Like PubAd mainly peaked during early 2000, etc. But if you take from 2013 and 14 onwards, largely PSIR, sociology and anthropology. These are the three subjects which are scoring. But added, I am telling any subject you can score marks. But I am telling in general, these are the three subjects which have been doing well. Okay. But what I meant to say that it doesn't mean that to take any other subject you are not going to score. It again depends upon your skill and ability. So predictability that no, I can't predict which is more predictable. But yeah, you need to know the subject to predict. You can predict in both subjects. Nothing like that. See, it's more about in PSR, you have the possibility to link many things. Okay. So let us take in environment, you read about climate change. You can link it through PSR. Why? Because the policies of the state to address the problem of climate change, what can be brought. Or let us take you're writing out gender. Okay, that also you can link in PSR. Why? Because like you take recently they brought 106th Amendment bill, that is women representation or reservation in Lok Sabha and state assembly. So in that end you have opportunity in PSIR to link many things. Yeah, it is a bit more open-ended compared to PubAd, that you can see. Anybody else? My Telegram ID is that at NIK PSIR. Any other doubt? Hmm? Hmm? Hmm. Hmm. See, you can link anything to anywhere. Uh. Hmm. 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 You are telling how to make notes, etc. Okay, you are telling what are the challenges in mains part. See, I can only tell from my point of view. See, one major part in mains, why students struggle, especially from our state. In Delhi, you find students are a bit more, what you can say, practical, because they have a better idea of the exam. In our state, the problem is two things, like what he told. See, mains is more about thinking, not reading. Reading is always the first step. So once you read, you have to be able to think. Thinking requires some degree of creativity. And to develop that creativity, you need to have exposure to different ideas. Now in our state, major problem is what? People don't read newspaper in spite repeatedly telling that you have to read editorial pages. They won't read. I told two reasons. English problem. Okay, they can't understand English. So what they will happen, they'll stop reading it. Second problem is that they go for this trap called as what? Like I had a friend who's like into Indian administrative studies. He's a very close friend of mine. When he cleared in his fourth attempt, when I take him to sessions, he said that no, I didn't read newspaper only, directly I read kind of. But what he's not telling is that the year he cleared, he didn't read. But the previous 3 years when he failed, he had read. You get a point? So he has 3 years experience of reading newspaper. So in that 3 years, a lot of knowledge, ideas has developed. The year he cleared the exam, of course, because of lack of time, he didn't read. But already what accumulated knowledge he had, it helped. So what will happen to new students when they hear it? They'll tell, okay, why should we waste time reading newspaper? Nobody is asking you to make notes from newspaper. Nobody is asking you to make, cuttings from newspaper. All they're asking is that read certain editorial pages because they give you ideas. Now that is where creativity will grow. So to give you an example, there was an essay topic on some gender related thing. So one student, when I evaluated, he had written how textbook fellow. Gender equality is both men and women, something, and some scholar he told. Okay. That's why I told he might be a political science student or a sociology student. Directly wrote a scholar. Essay is a creative expression. There is one more student who wrote the same essay. Her introduction was something like this. He had written, one fateful night, remote village in India, two things happened in a family. One event or one thing that happened gave a lot of happiness to the family. The other event immersed the family in sorrow. And she wrote, what gave the happiness to the family was that night, the cow in their house gave birth to a female calf. They were very happy. Same night, the daughter-in-law in their house gave birth to a female child. This sunk them in sorrow. And she told, this is the paradox of Indian society. This is what you call as creativity. Why people can write creatively? Because they've read creative things. Why some people can't think creatively? Because they've never been exposed to, reading newspaper. They're nothing but within a 4 square wall, just sitting and taking down notes from morning till end, not thinking anything. That's what I told, mains is 90% thinking, 10% reading. Yeah, of course you have to read, you have to have knowledge, but you also have to be able to think. Okay, so when you read an article, you will find that author would have connected such different things in his writings. Okay, for example, when I was reading, there was one Yojana magazine had come. Randomly I was just reading it. There was a feminist who had written that article. Okay, the whole article was not important. The crux of her argument was very good. I am speaking about few years back when I was preparing. So the government of India had come out with maternity benefits draft bill. Draft bill, not the final bill. It was a draft bill. It was discussions were going on. In the draft bill, they had given 22 weeks or 24 weeks of paid leave to women. And now it was proclaimed as what state has been leading to women empowerment. But what this feminist had argued was that this is a false claim of women empowerment. The reason what she brought is that in that bill, they have not included paternity leave. Later they brought paternity leave after criticism. And she told, what is the argument there? So do you think then rearing up that kid is only the duty of women? There is no duty for father. And this is what state has institutionalized patriarchy. State has looked at women as child, thing. It's completely different. You would have never thought about it. And only when you write creatively, even the evaluator will feel like giving marks to you. And that's why when you make notes, it's not that you make detailed notes of everything. Take one basic notes which is already there. You make short notes of yours by taking different things from different parts, looking at previous year questions. See, 90% of them, they will not look at PYQs, at least till they complete their one attempt. Why? Because they'll simply tell, we don't know. Okay, we can't solve the question. Nobody is asking you to solve the question. They're asking you just to take a look at the question. You'll get an idea from where the questions are coming. And see, prelims, mains and interview. In all the three stages, there are three different skills that are required. Okay, what many students, they don't have this idea also. They'll think what prelims is there, mains is there, interview is there. Okay, how you are going to clear prelims? No matter how much ever you read for prelims, how much ever you read, any book, all the books, there will be 30 to 40% of the questions in the exam which you will be seeing for the first time on the paper. In my case, I failed prelims only once. Consistently cleared all my prelims. The reason I'll tell. When I was preparing it, I was preparing from a library only. Okay, so in our library, there were many people who had come from Vajiram. That time, I'm telling 2015, 2014. Their attitude, how na? They, that Vajiram, that time they used to give some yellow book or something like that. These people, 24 yellow book, green book, orange book, yellow book, green book, orange book. I never touched any book. Previous year question paper, CDS, NDA, CRPF, I had solved, like 1,000 questions I solved. Solving those 1,000 questions gave me one clarity. I understood UPSC mindset. You check if you want. From 2013 till now, how UPSC prelims paper are designed, there will be 35 to 40 questions in the exam paper, not at one place. There will be at different parts of the paper. It will be dead easy concept question. You will have some 6 questions from polity, dead easy. 6 questions from economy. It is all test of your nerves. Means on that exam day, you should not get tensioned by looking at questions which you don't know. You have to ensure that you get those 40 questions correct. Okay, it varies from 35 to 40. So imagine your accuracy is so good in basic questions that you get all 40 correct. What is your score? Let us say cutoff 95, 100 only. It's a matter of getting just 25 marks more. Out of remaining how many questions? 60 questions. Even if you apply basic knowledge, you'll get it. These people, what they used to do, unnecessarily worry about current affairs. Read some 10 different materials, not thorough with basics. I used to read only one material. Do repeated reading. Solve a lot of question papers. And UPSC mindset, many even current affairs questions, you can answer based on logic. When I was writing, I had written the CRPF paper also. Okay, history I had not read in so depth, but they had asked one question when I wrote, which Indian ruler is called as Jagat Guru? Again, options they had given: Adil Shah, Akbar, Jahangir, Shah Jahan, something like this. Now I don't know, but still, if I want to answer, can I use some logic here? I did use logic. Jagat Guru is a South Indian word. It's not a North Indian word. Among the 4 options that were given, I knew that basic knowledge I have. Adil Shah is from Hanumantha, that is Karnataka. I marked it. Yeah, risk I have taken, but it was correct. So many people, what they do, they just blindly sit and read without solving questions, without knowing how the questions are coming, what is required. Same way for mains exam. Mains is largely analytical based exam. It's not an information based exam. And there are 4 GS papers: GS1, GS2, GS3, GS4. Each 4 subjects have 4 different requirements. How do you write GS2? You can't write the same way GS1. How do you write ethics? The same way you can't write GS3. So you need to work on subparts, like develop thematics, that how do I answer society based questions? How do I answer geography based questions? For geography based questions, you need maps. For history based question also you can add maps. For IR based question also you can add maps. For economy based question you need more data, committee reports. So all these you will have to, that's why I told you will have to prepare your own set of short notes. No kind of note will work. Now, some people, see, you can take any one notes as a sample to build your basic foundation. But if you tell based on only one notes, like, sir, I'll read Shunya, you'll get Shunya only in exam. I'm not telling it is not good, it is good, but you have to build on it. Why build on it? Now new issues might have come. Got it? Same way for political science, when you read, once you read the class notes, once you go through PYQs, you will have to make your own set of short notes, very short notes. Why? Because short notes will enable you to revise more number of times. And especially during the exam time, so mains exam is going on. You get 4 days to revise PSR. So do you think you can read 8 booklets for 4 days time? 100% you can't. If you are reduced it, so let us take 2 small booklets, you can easily revise. So that is why we say for mains, not for prelims, for mains you will have to make short notes. And other thing is that do a lot of brainstorming, not just reading, think, sit and discuss with 3 of your friends, like uniform civil code is in use. You only logically think what question can come on it. Simple. Do you think India needs a uniform civil code? So what will be the structure of your answer? Simple. Now first you write what is uniform civil code. You link article 44. You link DPSP. Then you will tell arguments in favor of uniform civil code. It will bring gender justice. It will simplify the laws. It will make judiciary more effective. And you can also say with this it will also integrate secularism and build unity and integrity of the country. And you will also tell that the Supreme Court also in Shah Bano case, Shaira Bano case has recommended to bring a uniform civil code. But then you are going to bring counter arguments saying that however there are challenges. What challenges? India is a multicultural society. The constitution itself under article 25, 28, it has given protection to minorities in that regard. And you can say there is a huge tribal population in India and their customs and traditions have been protected under 5th schedule and 6th schedule. And you have other viewpoints saying that UCC is not the solution for gender justice. Like you have a person called as Flavia Agnes who says that it is not a silver bullet for all the gender related problems. You have Law Commission of India which has said that India does not require a uniform civil code. They told instead of go for codification of personal laws for all religions. For exam, this is what you are going to write. This is what should be there in your notes. No history, no background, etc. Only this much. If you revise this much, you can produce it in exam. Why I am telling exam, you can write an answer, 10-mark answer in 7 minutes. You don't have a lot of time to sit and think there. All the things should be done now. There you are going to just bombard what you have already thought. So when you will struggle, when you have not thought only, when you go sit in the exam, they will ask a question, how different would have been the Indian national movement without Gandhi? Now what this fellow would have read in book? What did Gandhi do in Indian national movement? Now he is shocked. You are getting mind. So there is nothing to be shocked. You can just, if you had previously solved a lot of questions, if you had thought about it, you will produce points. You would have argued India's freedom would have been, completely divided India. Or it would have been very difficult to mobilize all sections of society because Gandhi was able to do it. Simple means you will write the opposite, that what problems would have occurred if Gandhi would have been not there. For the point. So that's why I told, especially for the mains part, thinking is a huge process. See, that is what we try to make in a classroom also. But why we are not, that in optional class I'll do. Why we are not able to do it in a GS class? GS class the numbers are more. And I don't know how the economics work. It is always the non-serious students who are more in number and they will always fall the short. It is majority. Democracy also works on majority. It's not that always democracy is great. Democracy has its own set of problems. Democracy is great when the people who are participating in the democratic process are rational, logical, knowledgeable. When you have people who are not knowledgeable, who are illogical, taking part in democracy, then it can easily turn into mobocracy. Same thing here, when you have 80% of the people who are calling the shots, who have no idea of the exam, and if you go tell in a class, come we'll do discussion, debate, it's time waste, give us notes. Do you really think they will understand if you tell them, okay, deliberation in parliament has declined? That fellow won't know what is MLA MP only. Telling, hey, what is this fellow telling? I'm getting bored. For them, you can see tell few jokes in class. You tell who is MLA. You know, MLA is the one who goes to Vidhan Soda. Yes sir, Vidhan Soda. You know, Tejasvi Surya is MP. Where does he go? He goes to Delhi. Parliament is there, na? Sir, how will go? Sir, he will go flight. You know, government will give this thing. Yes sir, how much they'll give? All unnecessary things not required for the exam. But that is what curiosity can make. That's why I told there are two sets of candidates preparing this exam. One candidate like this. Sir, what will happen if I get arrested? Good only, you have to know. But do you think in exam they are going to ask it? You are getting mind. That's why I told it's a myth saying that this exam is cleared by those people who have too much of knowledge. No, too much of knowledge people are all teaching here. Smarter ones are all in Mussoorie. Why? Because they know that too much of knowledge is not required. You need to just prepare from an exam point of view. Why some people, though they are very smart, they won't clear? Because they are reading unnecessary things which are not required for the exam. See, simple now. Now let us think she read the original book. Shashi Tharoor's Pax Indica. He got inspired. Now some topper suggested, read, you will get good knowledge. He read the full complete book. This fellow didn't read any book. He read some notes, but he's very smart. He's already made ready-made content. So India-Pakistan question will come in exam. She inspired reading of all the book. He is not able to recall anything from the book. She read like a story book. This fellow is prepared for the exam. He has not read the book. He understood that reading 300 pages for one chapter is waste of time. I directly take from some notes. In that note, it's written, Shashi Tharoor says in his book Pax Indica, India and Pakistan are brother enemies. That will write in the exam. She won't that write in the exam. Now the evaluator will evaluate. He will evaluate her paper. He would have written something, India, Pakistan, you know, border is there, that is there. The nonsense, what it is written. Now he'll read his answer. Wah, this fellow has read Shashi Tharoor. Why? Because he can't call him and ask, tell me what are the other chapters in that book. Mains writing, why I am telling you that, especially after the pattern change, every answer you have to write in 150 words or maximum 250 words. A person can superficially write, superficially show to the evaluator, I have more knowledge. A true person who has read everything might not be able to bring anything on the paper. So even though they have read very well, the evaluator fails to understand. And that is why I told this exam is not always cleared by those people who are very knowledgeable. It is cleared by the smart ones who know what is required for the exam. You are getting the point. So that is one thing that you will have to work on if you are very serious about what? Cracking UPSC. Because see, I don't believe in false sense of motivation or inspiration. No, like you can say, we will think positively. Just manifesting things won't happen unless you lift your hand, lift your leg and make some kind of movement. That is what Martin Luther King said. If you can't run, you walk. If you can't walk, you crawl. If you can't crawl, make some movement. That is improvement. You are not going to become an IAS officer sitting in one chair and, you know, from morning to night doing. So that's why I told, be more aware, look into different aspects, that how or why people are scoring marks, what do I need to score marks. And that's why I say, I won't tell like fall in love with a subject. Don't fall in love with any subject. Any subject here is just to get marks. Like some people, I want to become IAS, that is why I take PubAd. You can become IAS even by taking Kannada literature. I want to become foreign service officer, so I'll take political science. Not necessary. You can take Bengali literature also and become IFS. All it matters is that are you able to score marks. One fellow came, sir, I'll take psychology. I told why. That's why I told senseless, knowledgeless thing. I told why. If had he told I have love towards this subject, I can understand, good. He told if I don't clear, sir, then I can become psychologist. I told what kind of, you need a degree in psychology to become psychologist, not UPSC optional subject you take. That's why I told competition is not so much. That is what you think. Competition is so much. You see the result sheet, always the same candidates will getting ranked. Same people will get 2-3 times rank. Okay, why? Because that's what I told. Like the psychology students, there are thousands of them. So that's what I told. In fact, KPSC is more competitive. I'll tell you why. KPSC comes in Kannada medium. All these Kannada medium students will become competitors. UPSC, it's not, there is no competition at all. That's what I told. If you are very serious, you are in that 60,000. Getting interview call is not difficult at all. You have to just get your basics correct. Yeah, coming in the list, first rank and all, it depends upon certain content. It also depends a bit on your luck. Okay, but getting a rank, there is nothing called as luck and all. See, sometimes bad luck will be there. You can't help. Because I had one of my friends, you can't explain things. Right? He got 7 in PubAt. Means one paper he got 90, second paper he got 7. And he's not a person that he has written the PubAt first time. It is his third time what he wrote. And he has given 2 interviews before. It is inexplainable that how did he end up getting 7. And problem with UPSC is that there is no way that you can get any kind of recourse, because the scores are only released after the entire finalist is announced. So that we call is what? Bad luck. Because he missed it by just a fraction of, means had he got even 90 in PubAt that time in that paper, he would have been IAS. But that is what you can, this you can say is that what? Bad luck. Okay. But yeah, if you work smartly, if you work with the right direction, I don't think so getting a rank is difficult. You will be able to get a rank. But the only thing is that, are you dedicated enough? Are you ready to come out of your comfort zone? Are you ready to work on your skills? Okay, and this is not a 100 meters race. That is what many people mistake. Like let us B7. Now classes have started, I think 1 week back. Now you coming and expecting by next March I should be in Mussoorie. It will not happen. Be in reality. Okay, so if you tell, like one Ballari student had come, like last year too, that fellow, when we did mentorship session, right? He told, sir, Sunneri sir, I have seen videos, he told I have seen videos of this Artika Shukla, he got 4th rank on year. She read in 6 months, sir. I told, Allah Guru, okay, what else you know about her? Ade sir, 4th rank, bitti yen gotto. She is a doctor from All India Institute of Medical Science. Her brother, her own brother, was an IAS previous year. I told, what is your brother doing? See, you can't compare with others. There will be some people who will have very good background in terms of support. In that sense, they'll have a very good, like Tina Dabi, she cleared in first attempt. Why? Because she prepared from 18 years. Lady Sri Ram College, she took political science only her degree. Yeah, family background, all bureaucrats are there, their parents are Indian Engineering Service. See, I'm not telling only people with these background will clear. People from all background can clear. But you need to run your own race. You can't look at others and say, I'm going to run their race. Every person is different. One size fits all approach won't work. Okay, if I'll tell all of you, do like this, you'll clear. No, each one of you is different. Each one of you have own strength and weaknesses. Unless I'm able to identify what, or you're able to identify what is your strength and weakness, things won't work. I can't, holistically tell, do like this. It won't happen. That's why I say, whether you take coaching, whether you don't take coaching, self-study is a part of this examination. There is no alternative to it. Got it? And second one, believe in yourself. That is more important. Things are difficult, but does not mean that it is not achievable. Okay, I had this friend called as Umesh Rathod. He's from Thanda. Understand? Thanda. He's a tribal. Both his parents are uneducated. He did his entire, study in Kannada medium, but he learnt English. And he did his degree also what we call as correspondence. Today he's ended up as IRS customs. Okay, so that's why I told, nothing is impossible. All it takes is effort. Yeah, for some people it might happen quickly. Why? Because they come with certain added advantage. For some people it might take time, but do you have the patience to work towards it? Got it? So yeah, this is holistically what we can summarize in today's session. So any other doubt you have, you message me on Telegram. Okay, the course will be also announced by tomorrow or day after tomorrow on the website as well as the Telegram. All right. Okay. Thank you.